All right, let's talk about something super frustrating. Those dark marks that hang around forever after a breakout, what the pros call post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, or PIH. You're doing all the right things, you've got your routine down, but some of those spots, they just will not leave. It's a really common wall to hit, and today we're going to break down exactly when it's time to level up and call in a professional. Does this sound familiar? I mean, you've been so patient. You're consistent with your serums, you never skip sunscreen, but there are a couple of spots that seem to have just taken up permanent residence on your face. That feeling, that plateau, that's your first sign that maybe, just maybe, it's time to explore some new options.
So, that leads us right into the big question for today. What's the actual turning point? What are the real specific signs that tell you your pH is beyond what you can handle at home? Let's get into it.
Okay, this right here is the cheat sheet. On the left, you've got everything your at-home routine is perfect for. Slowly fading those newer surface marks, keeping your skin generally bright. But the real signal, the thing to look for, is on the right. If those spots are deep, they haven't budged in months, and, this is the key, if they have a blue-gray color to them, that's it. That's your turning point. That bluish tint is so important because it's a dead giveaway that the pigment isn't on the surface anymore. It's sitting way down deep in the dermis, where your serums and creams just physically can't get to it.
All right, so you've spotted those stubborn, maybe even bluish marks, and you've made the call to see a professional. What's in their toolkit? Well, the first really powerful option we're going to look at is the chemical peel. Now, I know the words chemical peel can sound a little intense, right? But in the hands of a true professional, it's an incredibly controlled and effective treatment. You should think of it less like a harsh, scary peel and more like hitting the fast forward button on your skin's own natural renewal cycle. So how do they actually work on PIH? Well, it's all about using these really smart, gentle acids like Mandelic or Salicylic acid. What they do is they basically unglue and help lift away those top layers of skin cells that are holding on to all that extra pigment. An expert will know exactly which one is for you. Mandelic acid, for example, is amazing for PIH because its molecules are physically larger, which means it penetrates your skin more slowly and gently. It's a game changer for sensitive skin. And with each treatment, because you usually do a series, you're safely revealing that brighter, more even-toned skin that's been hiding underneath.
Okay, let's move on to the next tool in the Pro Kit. And with this one, getting an expert is absolutely 100% non-negotiable. We're talking about specialized laser treatments.
And again, let's demystify this. We are not talking about those aggressive sci-fi movie lasers. For treating PIH, the goal is the complete opposite of aggressive. These are highly specialized lasers that use really specific wavelengths of light to gently find and break down those pigment deposits deep in the skin, all without creating more of that pesky inflammation that caused the PIH to begin with. And this brings me to a huge, huge warning. I really need you to hear this. This is not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. Using the wrong type of laser on skin that's prone to hyperpigmentation can be an absolute disaster. This quote from our source material really says it all. The wrong kind of laser can create too much heat or just the wrong kind of energy, and your skin reads that as an injury. And what's the skin's go-to response to injury and inflammation? You got it. It makes more pigment. It can make the PIH you have so much worse. This is exactly why you have to go to a provider who really specializes in treating all skin tones.
So, what does the right kind of laser do? Well, they use something called non-ablative technology, which is just a fancy way of saying they work their magic deep under the surface without damaging that top layer of skin. They can either shatter the pigment particles so your body can clear them away, or they create these tiny invisible microchannels that trick your skin into a healing response, which means it generates fresh, new skin without all that extra pigment. When it's done right, it's an extremely safe and effective option.
Now, before we wrap up, we absolutely have to address a really common and pretty damaging myth. In that desperate search for a quick fix, a lot of people turn to their kitchen, and trust me, that can be a huge mistake. Let's just walk through this vicious cycle. Someone online says to use lemon juice or vinegar. And yeah, they have acids, but their pH is totally wrong and way too harsh for your skin. So you put it on, and step 2, you cause major irritation and inflammation. And by now, we know what inflammation triggers. That's right, step 3, more PIH. You end up in a cycle where you're literally creating the exact problem you're trying to fix. So, the big takeaway here is pretty simple. Your next move towards that clear skin you want is all about making smart, informed, and safe choices. It's about understanding what your at-home products can do, but also recognizing their limits and knowing when it's time to bring in a professional for the heavy lifting. It's really about working smarter, not just harder, on your skin.
And that brings me to one last thought for you. As you think about all this, just take a second and ask yourself, what has been the single most frustrating part of dealing with these marks for you? Sometimes, just getting clear on that one question can be the first real step toward finding the solution that is finally going to work.